if we did something funny where it was like... That's a little too low. But like if I was like at this level here. Hi!
Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon at Savage Reads and today...
Just a little slower.
Hi everyone.
That's too slow. You're exaggerating.
Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon from Savage Reads and today I've got Thomas here off of The Readers and Hogglestock.com. Anyway, Thomas you may know from The Readers. Which is a podcast I co-host with Thomas. So if you haven't, the links are always down below and you can go and check it out. So this is hilarious. This is Thomas's first foray into YouTube, possibly his last. So today we're going to be going through, as I've done with previous guests before, like Polly, who you know.
I do know.
And various other booktubers and lovely folk. I have an occasional series on this channel, which is where I let people have a nosy through the books that I've read, so they can talk to me about some of them, some that they loved, some that they didn't love, some that they might be surprised I've got on the shelves, or some that they just want to troll me with. You've chosen 5.
I did choose 5, but I didn't exactly use those parameters to choose. Once again, I'm not following the rules. I chose 5 books that I kind of want you to convince me to read.
Okay.
Some of them are names that I'm like, I don't know that person, but everyone else does, so tell me a bit about them. So I'll just start with the first one, and it's not a perfect example because it's a co-authored book.
Okay.
But it's the first author that I'm really curious about. So, Terry Pratchett, The Long Earth, whoop, but it's also with Stephen Baxter, so it's like... But Terry Pratchett, people are always talking about him and blogging about him and et cetera, and I know nothing about him.
This book has a story to it, because... Previously, on The Readers, before 4 years ago when Thomas joined, I had a co-host called Gav, who still edits the show. And we got the opportunity to have Terry Pratchett on The Readers. Mm-hmm. And this was the latest book that they'd written. Now, I hadn't read any Terry Pratchett up to that point, which was almost sacrilegious to even be going and spending time with him. However, Gav was a massive fan, is a massive fan. This was early on when Terry was beginning to show signs of Alzheimer's. So we had the opportunity to go and meet him because he couldn't do interviews over the phone. Mm-hmm. He could only do them if he saw you. It's about a whole new world, and it's Stephen Baxter has a much more hard sci-fi background. But Stephen Baxter has a much more sci-fi background, and Terry Pratchett's obviously a bit more fantastical, and so it's the meeting of the two. And I liked it a lot. It made me want to read more Terry Pratchett rather than Stephen Baxter.
So Terry Pratchett is more fantasy?
Discworld, you must know about Discworld. It's the one that's like on a turtle on a...
Nope. Which is why I'm asking about this author, because I know the name of the author, but I don't know.
So he writes all these books that are set in the Discworld, which I think is on the back of a turtle that flies through the world, which is also on the back of a elephant, or vice versa. Okay. And then you meet all of these different weird, crazy people, weird with a Y, crazy people, like the Weird Sisters, who are these witches, and all of that. I've never read any of them, and I would love to read them. I know Jean, over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts, she is a big fan of Terry Pratchett, and he's an author that I have also meant to read much more of, and I still haven't, even though I have about 3 or 4 of his books.
So this is the only one that you have read?
This is the only one of his that I've read, and it's a co-authored one.
My
little brother's a huge fan.
When I think of fantasy...
Look, it's signed.
I see that. When I think of fantasy, I think of like unicorns.
No, this is more... Well, like Death is a character in the book.
Alright, so sure.
I would like recommendations of Terry Pratchett and where to start, even though Jean's given me some.
I'm not sure you sold me on it because the fantasy thing, it would take something... But I'd probably have to just try one.
I think you should try one.
So my question would be...
He's very funny, and I think he riffs off a lot of like famous literary moments.
Okay, so my question would be, for someone who doesn't read fantasy, never have read fantasy, which Terry Pratchett is the gateway drug to
fantasy? Think the 2 that you'll probably get recommended are Going Postal, and there's one, I think, is it The Weird Sisters?
But don't let Simon pressure you into
or
giving that answer.
Is it Equal Opportunities, which is about a... Oh, I don't know.
All right, here's another one that I've heard a lot about. I think it's probably outside my comfort zone, but I want you to sell me on Tess Gerritsen.
This is an easier sell.
Okay.
Although I'm slightly sulking because I haven't got the new one of the Rizzoli Isles series. Although actually, to be fair, I'm not quite up to date. So, Tess Gerritsen is one of my favourite crime authors. She writes a series of crime novels which are all about Detective Rizzoli and Dr. Maura Isles. This is a TV show.
Oh no!
Oh.
Was the show any good?
The show's good.
Okay.
But I prefer the books.
Okay, good.
But I do like the show. The characters playing the 2 leads are like I would expect them to be.
Okay.
But basically, Detective
It's
Jane
about detectives
Rizzoli.
who go and get the Rachel haircut.
No. I think this might be one of the victims, actually.
Oh, the victim, sorry.
These are great because the reason I like them is that they're very fast paced. There's no mucking about. You get on with the action. You get a dead body or some sort of mystery. I mean, they've done some crazy things like a museum that opens a mummy and it's a new body in the mummy. Like some really bonkers stuff. And then you've got the Detective Jane Rizzoli, who's quite hard hitting. She doesn't muck about. She's very, very feminist and very forthright and brilliant. And then you have Dr. Morales, who also is, but she's all of the autopsy stuff. And that's the bit that really interests me in a kind of horrible, dark way.
So for Americans who watch TV and who are over a certain age, it's like Quincy meets Cagney and Lacey.
Possibly.
But let me ask, do the murders happen on screen, as it were, or are they already done?
Sometimes. Sometimes one's already done, but then normally the murder strikes again. Generally, either Rizzoli or Isles ends up in some kind of murderous moment. But that's what I like about them. I know what I'm getting with. Like, they're all totally different, but I know what I'm getting with them.
Right.
And I just like, they're perfect. I want to just binge read something really quick.
So essentially, if someone's dead but someone else still dies, it means that Rizzoli and Isles aren't quite as good as they could be.
Yeah, but normally it's the second death that will alert them that it's a serial killer.
Would Agatha Raisin let that happen?
Oh, Agatha Raisin, I can't even talk about that because the TV show's just ruined it all for me.
Oh, there's a TV show?
Oh, God, it was awful. Next book.
I actually owned all 4 of these and then gave them away because they were taking up too much space and I didn't read any of them. Boom.
So this one, My Brilliant Friend.
By Elena Ferrante, not her real name. We won't say her real name because apparently we're not supposed
And
to.
also the lighting's really bad on that book.
There you go.
So, My Brilliant Friend, this was all when the Ferrante fever was happening, and so I read it, and I thought it was alright. But I haven't rushed to read the other 3.
So, okay, so it's just, let me try and get at it.
It's
Because
about
people
2
run hot,
friends
right, I get that part,
who are
their
young
whole
girls.
lives and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So the writing style, is that satisfying?
It's alright.
Did you like them as people?
No, but I don't have to like characters.
No, I know, but I'm just, did they have an interesting relationship?
It's interesting in the fact that it's that kind of friendship, faux-ship thing. Frenemies.
Smells good.
He really, really sniffs books. I've got her other books to read.
The other 3?
No, not of this series, her other books.
Oh.
Because she wrote loads of other books, and they're all supposed to be much more quirky and dark and a little bit weird. And I want to read those more than I want to read the next in these series. I remember reading it and enjoying it while I was reading it, and then as soon as I finished it, I was like, oh, right, okay.
Her husband is Domenico Starnone, who wrote Ties, which I read recently. It's also Europa. Really good book. So maybe this is good too.
This is good. Have you not read the first one?
No, I haven't read any of them.
Oh, I would recommend reading
I
it.
literally bought all 4 of them, and then they take up that much space on the shelf, and I was like, oh.
No, I'd recommend reading it and seeing if you want to continue. Okay. I can't decide whether I'm going to ever continue with them or not. Okay. But I've kept this one as a reminder.
So I only should have bought the first one.
Yeah.
Here is an author whose the one book I read by her I liked. I didn't think it was fantastic book, but I really enjoyed it while I read it. And I just want to know if this one, how it compares to it. So it is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins, otherwise known as the author of The Girl on the Train.
Did you like The Girl on the Train?
I enjoyed it.
I'm surprised that you liked The Girl
I
on the
liked
Train.
it much better than John Girl.
John Jill.
Sorry, Gone Girl. By Gillian.
Gillian Flynn, Gillian Flynn, Gillian Finn, John Jill. I actually, controversially, prefer this book.
Well, that's good to know.
And I really like the first one. Because I like what she did with the first one, because I think with the characters, she gives you an insight into the perceptions of women and what women should be in the first book. And I think she does that a little bit here, but what I like about it more is that the big criticism, because this book's had a little bit of a caning, is it's got too many characters in it, because there are about 12 different narrators at different
12
points.
different narrators?
Yeah.
Wow.
You right there, Thomas?
No, I was trying to get the cover exactly right.
There's quite a lot of narrators in it, but I really liked it because you end up going behind all the doors of one town, pretty much, and finding out why all these people didn't like the one who died.
That was one of the doors opening. So the thing
I can't wait for Hogglestock on YouTube coming September 17th.
I did like The Girl on the Train, and I really disliked that they put the film in the US.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Especially with Emily, what's her name,
He was British.
Did she use an American accent in the film?
I can't remember, I don't think so. I thought the film was a little bit long. I enjoyed the film, but I thought it was a little bit long. Okay. But no, I really enjoyed this. And also I liked it because it's got a slightly... Pardon? This is the thing, I see you doing this. It's not like when we're recording the readers and I can't see, so I go, Simon's rattling on again, off he goes.
Well, he just ripped that out of my hand because he's like,
did.
I'm in control.
No, it wasn't. It was because I wanted to look at the back because I didn't realise it was a picture. It's a man on the edge.
Of what though?
Something.
The edge of glory.
Well, no, because this is all about a drowning pool where they used to drown witches, and bodies have been turning up there because it's a suicide spot. There's no witches in it.
I'm starting to like it less though. But are we talking like about Salem witch trial type witches?
No.
Then what kind of witches?
Just witches.
Yeah.
Like British witches.
Personal friends with...
Thank you for all your support.
Wait, what is a British witch?
A witch.
Camilla?
She is not a witch. I like Camilla.
Okay.
This is a good one.
Oh, he peeked. So this one I'd never heard of, but I liked the title and the stock photo on the covers. It kind of makes me wonder what it's about.
It's a gay book.
Well, duh. Man's World.
By Rupert Smith.
By Rupert Smith.
Have you ever read any
Look at this.
Smith?
Look. OMFG. Oh!
This is a book all about London, well, when it was written, like London then, now, as in now, modern times, and then you go back to London 50 years ago and it looks at the criminalisation to decriminalisation of homosexuality.
I see.
And so you hear one side of a story back then and what it was like for people then, and then you hear the modern, not the modern version, but a modern situation with gay men as well. I haven't really sold that very well.
But it's a novel, right?
Yeah, it is a novel.
Oh, and look.
And look on the back.
Shortlisted for the Green Carnation Prize.
I wonder who set that prize up. Oh, it was me. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like, I don't want to say romance, because that instantly makes me, I wouldn't want to read it. But at the same time, I'm enjoying that very much. That is perfect.
I thought it was a Europa at first, but it's Arcadia Books.
They're a small independent publishing house. But on the back it says a historical romance with a difference. For me to say it's got a romantic twist isn't a lie. But did you watch amazing, and it kind of links to this, it was an amazing show where they looked at the guy who was arrested for homosexuality and then kind of got it turned around so that it got put up in Parliament and stuff to stop being a criminal offence. But then as they showed his life story, they then had real men in their 70s and 60s, 70s and 80s talking about their experiences before decriminalisation in the UK. And it was heartbreaking. What? Absolutely heartbreaking. Against the Law, that's what it was called.
Did you ever read While England Sleeps by David Levitt?
No.
It takes place during World War II. It was the one where Steven Spender actually sued him because he said it was plagiarized. There were parts of it that were plagiarized. But they did something and tweaked it and it stayed on the shelves and whatever. And I think the book is flawed. Like there were some things I'm like, but there was a real emotional connection in there that I ended up really liking.
I think that's what you like about this, because it's not the perfect book, but it's got a real passion behind it and an emotional punch behind it. And I think it's that contrast between what it was like when it was illegal and then what it's been like recently, but also the fact that we still have steps to take forward. We've come a long way, but it's not actually as far as we like to think it is. Is that a better way of selling it? Have I sold that to you at all?
Well, this one was kind of pre-sold. I was interested. These other ones were a little more needing to sell.
Okay. And that's it? I thought there was another one to come.
How many more of these are we going to record?
That's it now, because you only get to do it once, Thomas.
Those are very short.
Oh, sorry.
It's not like our readers where we go on for an hour.
At least an hour, sometimes. Sometimes only 40 minutes. What are you doing?
I think when we record the readers, I'm just going to put my camera in front of me so I can pretend I'm on BookTube.
I thought it'll only be half the conversation. So, anyway, that was Thomas joining me to have a nosy through my bookshelves, and he did have a nosy. He actually had a bigger nosy, but you can hear that in a future episode of The Readers in weeks to come, which will be linked down below, along with Thomas's blog down below. That's not what your blog's called. Hogglestock,
I have a Tumblr that's down below.
I bet you do.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, on that note, it's goodbye from me.
And from me.
Bye.
I so am.
Hi, Oscar.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. He's like, who's that stranger? Oh, no. Thomas, you look... Why do... No, then you look really small. You're taller than me. How come you're lower?
Because I have bad posture.
Oh, okay.